I know you always have been a people first person. So I know that starting off, it was never the situation where you didn't care about people or anything. It was all about finances and whatnot. However, throughout the growth, I just am curious if at the beginning it was this desire to focus on the people, but also the finances. And then as you grew, you just doubled down on the people. And like you said, just let the finances kind of sort themselves out. Is that a fair representation of how your approach has changed, or not necessarily?
You've got to be really good at everything, right? So, people drive the business, people drive, industry, people, drive the world, if you will. So my favorite core value of 3 core values in the business, my favorite one is one Virtus. And I'll just paint a little picture through a story here. So we're on what I call Virtus 3.0. Virtus 1.0 was basically the solo entrepreneur journey. It was just Andrew's going to throw this business on his back and get to that first $5 million. And of course, we had other people contributing and working really hard at the time. But, we got to a threshold or a plateau, if you will, that I couldn't take it no further. I was working 100-hour weeks. We were, quote unquote, making progress and being successful, but it was basically the solo journey. Version 2.0, we took in capital investment, which we can get to later, and we said, this is where we set our ambition to grow a big business. We scaled the business very quickly. We 6x'd the business in about 4.5 years. And what helped us survive through that was just energy, excitement, adrenaline, and keep going every day. And we started to bring more people around it. And 3.0 is where we've really started to formalize and professionalize the business, which is to get anywhere, you've got to have world-class people, particularly in the services business that we've got. And with just, demographics of the country, certainly demographics in the insurance space, we have to develop and bring in people to the industry and develop them and ultimately, give them the opportunity to scale within the business. So that people-centric, people-focused, culture-first mentality is critically important to surround ourselves with the best. And then with that, we take the same discipline to the financial side. That's just not what we're actively, promoting as our mission, is to get to 200 million or 300 million or 400 million in top line. It's like build great people, build great strategy, and those financial results take care of themselves.
Obviously, I knew you didn't completely disregard the financials, so it's just interesting to hear how you personally approach the need to, like you said, be good at everything.
Yeah, let me, and sorry to interrupt, but let me, kind of profile that, because I think is part of the question. In the beginning of the business, I'm a finance guy by background, and everything was financially driven. Numbers, metrics, so on and so forth, process, procedure, and you realize that you can't accomplish any of that without having the right people in the right seats, inspiring and motivating them. So we have promoted goals historically that were revenue driven or earnings driven or something like that. And it often would fall on deaf ears. Certainly the leadership team cares immensely, things of that nature. And it's not that people don't care, it's just that they don't understand exactly how they can impact that. Whereas if we pivot to how can we help you be really good at your job so that you go home inspired every day and excited to wake up the next day and bring that same, energy and enthusiasm to work, that's really where we pivoted in our messaging and our narrative and engagement.
Well, it's really interesting. We work with a lot of, for lack of a better term, widget manufacturers. So I hate to put you on the spot like here, because you're not the president of a widget manufacturer. But if your team was made up of folks that run machines and produce parts, I agree that having them motivated and wanting to be there and excited, be excited about their work is still critical. Do you feel like that would be a harder proposition for the quote unquote widget manufacturer? Do you feel like you're in an easier position being in insurance to get your team excited? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I'm completely unqualified to answer the question, so I'll answer it anyway. I think by human nature, Bob Chapman from Barry Wehmiller wrote this book, Everybody Matters or Everyone Matters, which basically is some of the premise for how we think about the teams and the development strategy that we've put in place for our people. And so I think it's transferable across industry, if you will. And you've just got to find for the people, whether they're manufacturing widgets, whether they're attorneys, whether they're, in the insurance industry like we are, what motivates and excites them to develop and grow. I also think it's important to understand that not every business is for every person, right? There are certainly businesses, whether they're a large business that's relatively stagnant or an entrepreneurial business that's 2, 3, 4 people, that it's a different profile of person that gets energy from working within those businesses. And so I think there is a way to thread that needle, again, being unqualified to answer the question, but to gamify, motivate, excite, bring enthusiasm to those teams, even if they're just pushing a press every day versus the more maybe cerebral work that our team's doing with respect to consulting and
Very helpful. I appreciate you going out on a limb there, speaking about manufacturing firms when you don't have the direct experience. So thank you for that.